This is the price I pay for procrastination. Yesterday, this was a big lettuce plant, real leafy, real healthy looking. I was surprised that it grew in this pot that's salvaged from years ago buying a bush bean plant at Walmart. And this was actually on the other side of the fence where a deer and rabbit have been getting into the garden. I decided to move it on this side of the fence where the dog is supposed to keep rabbits out of the yard. And last night I said, I'll cut it Monday. I won't deal with it tonight. I'll deal with it Monday. And this morning I come out here and the rabbit ate it. That's what I get for holding off. You can see this tomato plant here is doing okay, but it's really not bearing a lot of fruit. This is what the lettuce, it was actually bigger than this. This lettuce has come up pretty good. All the marigolds are coming up like crazy. I've got raspberries growing through the fence. These things have just taken over the garden. I really need to transplant a lot of raspberries and make room. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to cut some of this lettuce and put it in a Rubbermaid container so we can use it in salad this week. Cilantro all over the place as usual. Here's a Marconi, or no, this is Lunchbox Red. Sorry, this is Lunchbox Red that got eaten by a deer on the other side of the garden. So I transplanted over here to see what would happen, and nothing. I figured it was going to be a loss. This is the last pumpkin plant. All of them have died. I think they've just gotten too much water. This one had some flowers off and on, but it never really produced a gourd. You can see there's other lettuce here where we're not getting as much sunlight, but they're surviving. And this is a green bell pepper that I bought at the end of July. It was still for sale at the local grocery store or department store in their garden department. And I said, what the heck, I'll just put it in there, see what happens with it. You can see the other lettuce here. It's slowly growing, so I'm hoping that later in the season it might produce some yields. Alright, so here's a weed. Goodbye. This is a potato plant, but all I got out of it was a root here. It's kind of weird. Let's go ahead and pull this one up and see if we get... There we go. Potato. Little potato. So that's a little potato that could. Some of these potato plants haven't really done a lot, so I'm not really sure what to make of it. There's another pepper, didn't survive. There's a small pepper plant. It keeps getting crowded by the other plants. I don't think it's getting enough light. It's probably not going to do much. Here's lettuce that the rabbit got to, and it's already started regrowing. This tomato plant has only made a couple tomatoes. They're green, they're not turning red. I have a feeling they're going to go bad. Maybe I should pick this one. Yeah, I don't know. That's just it. I've had terrible results this year. Here are where I put a lot of pepper plants, and you can see they just... I'm leaving the hoops here as tombstones. I don't know if we just got way too much water this year, too much rain, but certain plants do well with the rain. See, this lettuce is doing good. There were no raspberries in here. This all just grew up. The raspberries are just spreading like crazy. There's another dead pepper plant, dead pepper plant, dead pepper. I mean, the blonde bell pepper here made one small bell pepper. It rotted. You see, there's a few serranos here, but for the most part, the peppers aren't doing well. The tomatoes just aren't doing too well. I don't know. I'm really disappointed in the garden this year. Had a lot of onions at the beginning of the season, and they all just disappeared. I put one of the pumpkin plants here. It just didn't make it. That's all that's left. I put some lettuce over here. It's not really doing anything. The green pepper, or the green onions here, have come and gone. If I water them a lot, or if it rains a lot, they do well. But if they go a couple days without water, they tend to dry up some. The green beans are spreading. The bush beans are acting like pole beans, and the pole beans are growing really slow. Now, some years I get a late crop, but I would have expected these to grow up a little bit faster than they did. And in here you can see tomato plants doing okay. Actually put some hoops in there for some of the potato plants. They're just growing like crazy right through the hoops. The pumpkin that was here died. There's a Japanese cucumber over there. You know what? I'm going inside here. Got one celery that came up from last year. All the celery seed I planted did nothing. Yeah, here's the Japanese cucumber. There was one small cucumber on it a week ago, and you see it just rotted. It just rotted. Too much water, not enough sunlight. I don't know, but I tried. I have terrible results with cucumber, watermelon, squash, pumpkins every year. I have terrible results with them. And you see the bush beans are going nuts. So let's see if they yield anything later in the year. But overall, the garden was, I mean, it's a money pit every year. I mean, the reality is it doesn't pay for itself. It never has and never will. Not at this size, not with this short of a growing season, not with all the issues I have to deal with as far as critters and everything else. I mean, sometimes I think there's plant disease that get in here, and it's just something that comes with gardening. But it's a hobby, and if I want to stick with it, I've got to deal with it. I've got to make some choices next year about what I want to do with my garden, because it takes up a lot of time, it eats up resources, and it's really not giving back. The cowhorn pepper and the lunchbox orange are the only peppers that seem to have done good, and I grew them in pots. I grew some other peppers in pots, they died. I've got one blackberry plant over here that's not doing much, but it's not dead. I got another one here that it's dead. They're two different kinds of blackberry plants. They were really overpriced this year. A lot of things were overpriced. I was really disappointed in the selection of plants that you could buy, and disappointed in the pricing. The only thing that's really done well in the garden are the raspberries. They've taken over everything, and I mean they're choking out the strawberries that are there. So next year maybe I'll transplant raspberries and set myself a budget and try to stick to it and just see where the garden goes. It's something I noticed this year about the garden. When I tilled up the garden, there were no earthworms in the garden, none. And that's kind of weird. That's really strange. The other thing is I didn't add a lot of soil this year. Later in the season, I bought some. I just paid the price and bought some. It's overpriced, is more than normal. And I went ahead and put some garden soil in, thinking that might help. It helped a few plants, but the other ones, it was just too late. So I've got to make some decisions next year about how much I want to invest in it, both time and money. I mean, I've always known that this thing would never really pay for itself, but gardening is a hobby, like I said, and I just have to accept that. But yeah, it's been a real disappointment this year. After what happened last year, I was hoping for something better this year, and the garden's just let me down. Thanks for watching.